Welcome back to another episode of Untold Horrors, the show where two horror-loving film nerds mine the depths of Tubi looking for buried treasure. It's a very special bonus episode of the show where we're talking about Christmas horror. Now, before we get started, I'm Stephanie, and I'm joined as always by my fellow explorer, Jamie. Say hi to everyone, Jamie.
Hello.
Okay, so we usually alternate picking themes and surprising each other live on the show. But we're going to do things a little bit differently this month, and we're going to share some of our all-time favorite Christmas horror films, including some classics and some buried treasures. So, Jamie, are you ready to get this merry little show on the road?
I am ready, willing, and able.
So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down between legit horror classics, those films that you probably have heard of, or at least should have heard of, and that are among our all-time favorites. And then we're going to dig into underrated gems. And so these are films that we think deserve a lot more love and attention than they get. So may or may not have heard of them. They may not be high on your, when you start listing Christmas horror films, they may not like immediately register, but there's some films that we're hoping to turn you on to and discover something new this holiday season. So, Jamie, what I thought we would do, let's start with the classics. Do you want to go with your first pick, or do you want me to go with mine?
I want you to go with yours.
So, for this one, I struggled a bit whether I wanted to put it into the classics section or the hidden gems section, because I do believe that it is absolutely essential holiday viewing, but I also don't think enough people have seen it or even really understand what a masterpiece it is. But because it's one of my all-time favorites, I am putting it in the classics section. So the film that I am recommending is 2010's Finnish genre-bending fantasy action horror comedy Christmas film, that's a mouthful, Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. This film is such a wonderfully weird, magically delicious treat. It is about people living near a Finnish fell who discover a dark secret about Santa Claus while drilling in the area. It holds an impressive 90% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and critics praise it for its originality, its effective horror elements, and its spot-on comedy that never feels too nudge-nudge, wink-wink in spite of its parody elements. It's expertly crafted, daring, and wonderfully devious, in spite of also having a heartfelt Christmas spirit. It's a beautiful blend of fairy tale wonder and action movie thrills. Cate Blanchett also calls it one of her favorite films of all time. And that's a pretty ringing endorsement right there, if you ask me. And Roger Ebert brilliantly summed it up as an R-rated Santa Claus origin story crossed with The Thing. Again, if that doesn't make you immediately need to see this film, then you and I are very different people.
Okay, my main pick, this is a movie I've been watching every Christmas Eve since it came out on DVD in, I believe, 2006, Black Christmas. It gets nothing but hate, and I don't understand why. This feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas Eve. The snow is all over the place. There's Christmas lights decorating the sorority building. I think the actresses play well off of each other. I don't know all of them. I believe Michelle Trachtenberg is one of them. The gore is just jaw-dropping. It is extremely violent. There is tons of eye trauma. There is cannibalism. It has a great atmosphere and a great feeling, and it has a new origin story for the caller in the house. Black Christmas 2006 is my absolute favorite Christmas horror movie.
Of all time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I've been into horror movies for so fucking long, but for some reason, I like the remakes more than the originals.
So, I mean, I think Black Christmas 2006 is campy fun. It's a pretty solid remake. It's got a great cast, really fun kills. It's gory. It's a good time. I would argue that Black Christmas 1974 is not only one of the greatest Christmas horror films of all time, but one of the greatest horror films of all time.
I don't deny that. I mean, I respect it. I just personally just 2006 just tickles my fancy.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, 1984 slasher film directed by Charles Sellier about a traumatized person who goes on a killing spree while dressed as Santa Claus. The movie was controversial in the 1980s for its advertising campaign, which emphasized the killer Santa Claus's costume, which really drove the war on Christmas people crazy. It is, however, bizarre, imaginative, and highly entertaining. It's a cheesy good time with genuinely creepy scenes and visually striking shots. It offers a rebuke of class warfare and puts a twinkle in my eye with its mean-spirited, ultra-nasty, super cynical tone. It's a bleak treat with a great villain, a sadistic horror nun, and one of the best and most memorable kills in horror history, featuring Scream Queen Linnea Quigley. The sequel, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, became a cult classic for its unintentionally hilarious moments and is another must-see film on my list, although for very different reasons. So, Jamie, what is your history with Silent Night, Deadly Night?
It is, I own it. It was, I've triple dipped it, I think. It's another one that I watch every Christmas along with Black Christmas. So that was one of my choices. Anyway, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 was another one of my picks because it's great entertainment in and of itself, simply because the legend with that is it's basically literally one, but with a few things cut out for time and little inserts of the killer's brother going crazy and going on a rampage. So it's basically like half of one and then some extra stuff. I disagree. The extra stuff makes it very enjoyable. There are some lines in there. We all say garbage day. If you've ever heard that and wondered what it was from, this is what it's from. You need to see it. The guy who plays his brother Billy's brother is fantastic. He's just so cheesy. And he, ha, 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 ha. He literally reads some of his lines that way. And it's very fun. I highly recommend it. In fact, if you choose between the two, I would recommend 2 because you get Billy's brother and Billy and all the great gore from the first one. My choice for classics is Krampus because, like Black Christmas 2006, it feels like Christmas. It's got a Christmas vibe, and it's so beautiful and balletic and operatic and epic. And it's just the best kind of evil, which is the mischievous, youthful evil, not the cruel evil. And I that one too. So I picked that one too.
I actually have that as one of my bonus picks. So I did a few classic, a few underrated, and then I have a bonus section that we could get to if we had time. But yeah, I definitely have Krampus on my list. And so I do think that 1984 Silent Night, Deadly Night is an all-time classic, but 2012's brisk reimagining Silent Night is a very close second. It is also full of great gore, thrills, and dementedly dark humor. And it's an effective blend of horror and comedy that's a wicked little holiday splatterfest. It also features a thrilling chase scene, a solid plot, and a memorable wood chipper death scene. It's entertaining as hell, and one of the better films in the holiday horror genre. A real underrated slasher surprise, in my opinion. What about you? How do you feel about the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night?
This is the blowtorch one, right? I saw it. It didn't really excite me much. but hearing your enthusiasm about it makes me want to check it out again. It's on Tubi, I believe. Yeah. Christmas Horror Story, which is fairly new. It's an anthology, and the host is William Shatner as a Christmas Eve radio DJ, and as he DJs Christmas classics, he weaves in the Christmas stories. I believe. I don't know. There's 3 or 4 of them. But that one too has a great Christmas vibe. And what happens at the end with the William Shatner character and his sound man is fantastic. So that's got a great ending. And there's one particular horror story where Santa Claus has to fight off his elves who become zombies. And they're vicious zombies, and he tears the shit out of them, and it's amazing. And he goes out onto his little reindeer paddock or whatever it is, and Krampus is there, and Krampus attacks him, and Krampus is like a wrestler. He's like pale white. He looks like a beast, like some kind of beast creature with horns and shit, but he's so built, and he's just so savage. And he's got a chain, and him and Saint Nicholas have this fucking badass like action movie fight. Did you see it? It was good. Yeah. You liked it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. It's pretty solid. So, my final Christmas classic is Christmas Evil. This 1980 slasher film, written and directed by Lewis Jackson, is a cult classic and a must-see for horror fans. It's also a subversive critique of the holiday's commodification. It follows a tormented man named Harry who is obsessed with Santa Claus. After suffering a series of indignations, he eventually goes on a murderous rampage dressed as Santa, slaying people who end up on the naughty list, and those who exploit the magic of Christmas for selfish greed and profit. It's a tonal tightrope walk, alternating between brutal violence, dark comedy, and the psychological horror of loneliness and isolation. Despite it being a killer Santa film, it feels wonderfully unique due to its creative editing style, cinematography, music, pathos, and wicked sense of humor. The film isn't afraid to take its time with Harry's story, making us fully invest in his plight. The lead actor's performance is outstanding and helps elevate this film into the stratosphere of holiday classic. And the ending is surprising and hilarious, tying the holiday gift up with a beautiful bow. The film was seized and confiscated in the UK during the video nasty panic, though never prosecuted for obscenity. Christmas Evil has been praised by none other than the Sultan of Sleaze and the connoisseur of camp, John Waters. If it's good enough for John, it's sure as hell good enough for you. Jamie, thoughts on Christmas Evil?
That was going to be one of my choices. I love it. I have it. I watch it again every year. After the first time I watched it with the John Waters commentary, and since then, the tradition for me is to watch it with the John Waters commentary. But it's a very special movie. First of all, it's old, and it's not like clever old, like, oh, it was made last year, but they just scratched, the screen or used a program to make it look old. It is old. And that automatically gives it a warmth, I think. And I love Harry. He believes in Christmas so much. And he believes in it so much that when he goes to that party, like the adult beverage party, like you'd think, oh, Jesus, he's going to go in there and he's going to freak. Like, he loved it because they loved him, because they were all 2 sheets to the wind and they're like, oh, Santa, hey. And he's like, yeah, this is great. That was sweet. And the ending is also fantastic. And you know about Pressman, right? The reason why Edward R. Pressman owns Pressman Toys, just like a basic toy company. And he produced the movie. And the reason that there are so many scenes in a toy company, and Harry is a toy assembler, is because that was all Edward R. Pressman's own stuff, and it was cheap to just use it as a set. So that's why all those toy shots are in the movie.
So I know you probably have a few more. I have a few more, but we'll do a little quick kind of bonus section at the end. But let's hop over to Hidden Gems. We'll let you start this one off. So do you have a film that you think not enough people have seen that you want to celebrate?
My hidden gem is Inside, from the French extreme genre, I should say. And this is one of those, Die Hard situations where is it Christmas? Is it not Christmas? It happens on Christmas Eve, and it feels like it's Christmas Eve. It's about a woman who gets in a car accident and loses her husband, and she was pregnant, and she's all by herself. And the night before she gives birth, because she's overdue and she's going to have it medically induced, the night before she goes to the hospital to get it induced is Christmas Eve, and she's all by herself, and it's just really uneasy. And then a woman in black knocks at the door, and that's all I'm going to stop it there. It's one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen. It's so raw and real. These two women the whole movie, it's just breathtaking. But I'm going to call that a Christmas movie because it feels like a Christmas movie with the atmosphere, and it happened on Christmas Eve. It's a horror movie that everyone must see, especially horror fans. This is one of those movies where I think every human being who likes movies needs to experience it. Because it's just, it deserves words that I don't own, basically.
I think it's a goddamn masterpiece. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So, I am going to go with Jeffrey Mandel's 1989 oddity, Elves. It is one of the nuttiest holiday treats to ever come down the chimney. Is this a good movie, you might ask? Hell no. Not even close. In fact, it's a batshit crazy B-movie with a nearly indecipherable plot involving 3 girls, a pagan ritual, Nazis, and a genetic experiment involving evil elf copulation. Yes, you did hear that right. It stars Grizzly Adams himself, Dan Haggerty, as a chain-smoking mall Santa who must inexplicably try to stop a neo-Nazi plot to take over the world using Christmas elves. It's The Room level bad. Every choice is more unhinged and over the top than the last. There are more WTF moments than you can shake a candy cane stick at. But like Tommy Wiseau's Trasterpiece, it's also undeniably a so bad it's good bit of twisted hilarity that is just so damn fun. The dialogue in this underrated absurdity is gold. It features lines like, "I'm sorry my friends bled all over your fucking store. You want me to stay here and clean it up, asshole?" We also have this trashy treasure. "It was like a little man, like a ninja. Only like a gremlin. It was a fucking little ninja troll." And finally, we're gifted with this gem from the perviest of all prepubescents who loves to watch his well-endowed sister shower. "You got fucking big tits, and I'm going to tell everyone I saw them." This film is everything you want in a campy Christmas treat and is one of the most bizarre, highly original, ridiculously bonkers films you will ever see. So please, go see it immediately. Jamie, over to you. Have you experienced the elves phenomenon?
Could I contribute to your favorite quotes?
Sure.
What are you, a goddamn Nazi or something? Yeah, I've seen it. It's if you want to do I'm sure you can turn it into a triple feature or even a quadruple feature. But if you want to do a double, it goes really well with Spookies.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Well, another one that's happened at Christmas but isn't a Christmas movie, P2. It's Wes Bentley and the chick from G.I. Joe. She plays like an employee of a huge, like, Nakatomi-esque office building. And it's Christmas Eve, and she's going somewhere, and she's the last one out of the parking lot, and oh, Christmas, I'm in a rush, and she's kidnapped by the parking attendant. I forget why, but his Christmases are terrible, and he's lonely, and he's insane, and he listens to the same Elvis Christmas song over and over again. And he keeps her as some kind of pseudo date, and he dresses her in a dress that is just unbelievable. But that's besides the point. It's not. However, though, this is important to remember. It's not rapey at all. Actually, yeah, it's not rapey at all, which is good. That's one of the reasons why I like it. But the movie is her attempts to escape and to kill him and escape him. And there's a terrifying Rottweiler scene that I'm not scared of dogs, but I'm scared of Rottweilers. And this movie is part of the reason why. There's another kill with a car that I don't want to give away too many details of, but it's just stunning. The brutality is stunning, and it's a nail biter, and it's great, and it's a great Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a great pick. It's just a really solid exercise in terror. I mean, I think the acting is great. It's really, it's different. It's super engaging. It keeps you like invested from beginning to end. Wes Bentley's great. If you don't know who that is, you probably know him if you watched American Horror Story, or these days he's best known for Yellowstone, which I haven't seen, but I hear he's phenomenal in it.
It benefits from the same trope that Inside benefits from, and that is, rather than a stalk and slash, it's just two people that are at each other throughout the whole movie, and that kind of makes it even more intense, I think.
So, my next pick is the 2008 British horror film, The Children, directed by Tom Shankland. It is about a group of parents who take their kids to a fun wintry retreat over the holidays. But a virus turns all the children into bloodthirsty monsters. There are a few things, in my humble opinion, that are creepier than evil kids. There's just something so sinister and also so satisfying about the corruption of innocence. And the horror is made more palpable by watching parents come to fear that which they unconditionally love and treasure most in the world. While this film may not be overly violent, it more than makes up for that by being genuinely unnerving and incredibly tense. It's also a really smart vivisection of the nuclear family. Now, you may think that you've seen the evil children trope a million times before. But The Children feels fresh due to the way it plays on the very realistic reactions of the parents, who refuse to believe their cherubic offspring could be so vicious and villainous. Even when faced with blatant malevolence, the adults do not have the heart to fight back. And it's an absolutely savage gut punch to watch it. Have you seen The Children, Jamie?
Yes, I have, and it was shocking. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of evil children movies, and just the fact that they do evil things is like a shock. Like, oh, that's terrible, kids. But for some reason, the violence in the children, just hits real hard.
Do you have a final pick in this category?
I have a bunch of bonus ones, but I don't have anything else that's official.
Okay. Can I do one more hidden gem then, and then we'll go into the bonus round?
No way. Yes, of course you can. Sure.
My last pick is going to be a bit of a different one. So I am going with a film called Who Slew Auntie Roo, which is so fucking hard for me to say. But this is a 1972 horror thriller film directed by Curtis Harrington. And I have to say that I adore a good psycho biddy tale and a deliciously dark fairy tale. And this film delivers on both accounts. It's a sort of retelling of the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. It stars the icon Shelley Winters as Auntie Roo, a rich, demented widow who is haunted by the loss of her young daughter and husband. To alleviate her grief during the holiday season, she invites orphan children to her large English manor. Unhinged by grief, she becomes obsessed with a young orphan girl named Katie, who resembles her dead daughter, and she's compelled to kidnap the girl. It is bonkers in the best possible way. Winters is utterly compelling, and the scene of her in the kitchen is iconic. I'm not going to give away too much, but there's some really great performance work being done in this film. It is, fair warning, it is not scary. It is not really that much of a horror film, if I'm being honest. It definitely leans much more heavily into this sort of thriller, dark fairy tale aspect. But I'm including it because it's really it's pretty unknown. I mean, at least from what I hear as far as people talking about films, it's just not that mainstream, and it's really just incredibly well executed. It's very different. It's really unique, super compelling, and I think it's like a lovely little gem that I highly recommend you seek out if you haven't seen it. Have you seen this one?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've seen it. I like it a lot. It pairs well with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Is that the name of it? It was a long time ago that I saw it, but I liked it. Yeah.
All right, Jamie. We're gonna do a bonus round. I'm going to point out this one was not on my list originally, but I have added it because, and I'm not going to say much about it, but it's very timely because it literally just released. Like, it released on December 1st. But there is a movie that is also called Silent Night, which is a very popular title for Christmas horror films. It marks legendary director John Woo's first American film in 20 years. It stars Joel Kinnaman and features no dialogue. Well, it's billed as no dialogue. It has maybe a couple lines. Like, it's not 100% silent, but it is almost entirely no dialogue. The way it was marketed is a silent, action-packed, Christmas-themed John Wick. Which obviously to that we say, hell yeah. I mean, could anything be better than that? I have seen this film. I am going to say it's masterful. John Woo is a legend, obviously. It's really beautifully executed. But I'm going to say this, fair warning. So I kind of expected it to be really fun, like John Wick style fun. And it's not fun. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, this is a serious, pretty much drama that has some really great action, violent scenes in it. But it is primarily an exercise in like grief, like overwhelming grief and just emotional anguish. So it is a tough watch, and it is not going to make you feel good, and you're not going to have a good time watching it, but you should see it. So lots of caveats with this one, but I did want to talk about it since it is so current. I did want people to kind of know about this one.
Well, I thought, I saw the trailers and I thought it looked kind of silly. And then when I heard it was from John Woo, I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to go see it. I am a John Woo mega fan. I have seen all of his movies. I've spent many dollars on imports. The thing is with him, though, his movies, although they're known for violence, they're tremendously emotional. The Killer, I don't know if you've ever seen The Killer. The Killer makes me cry. Heroes Shed No Tears makes me cry. That's not a Vietnam movie, but it's like a combat movie that he made in the 70s. It's just heartbreaking. A Better Tomorrow is great. Better Tomorrow 2 is all about grief because there's a few deaths from earlier in the second one and a few deaths from the first one too. So grief is the main spearhead of the story of Better Tomorrow 2. He deals with grief in his movies a lot. So this makes me think it's going to be a great John Woo movie.
It's really excellent. Not exactly what I was expecting, but really beautiful film. Okay, lightning round. What else you got for us?
I have the movie Holidays. It is a anthology movie. The Christmas of obviously an anthology of holidays. The Christmas one stars Seth Green as someone who needs to buy his child like a virtual reality toy. It's like a metaphor for like a PlayStation or a Nintendo, and like all the cool kids have this thing, and Seth Green goes through some really unlikable things in order to score his kid one. And that one stood out for me in Holidays, which is actually a great movie all around because there's a lot of the other ones that are really good. Kevin Smith, I believe, directs a segment with his daughter, Harley Quinn, which is bizarre. That's a real bizarre one, but it is good and it's funny. But the Christmas episode is a standout. This is the one with Easter too, right? Where it's a big Easter monster. Also, highly recommend that. It's a great movie, I say. Holidays.
I'm gonna recommend You Better Watch Out. A babysitter has to defend the young boy she's watching from home invaders. And I will just say this. Honestly, the less you know about this movie going in, the better. But it is far more clever than the premise would suggest. So I do think that you should check this film out. Its twist is genuinely surprising. It breathes fresh air into a category that tends towards repetitive. And it's also super deft at creating and holding tension throughout while offering astute commentary on the real monsters of suburbia and just how terrifying they actually are. Sort of in the same vein, I will never stop singing the praises of this film, which is Anna and the Apocalypse. I think this film deserves so much more love than it gets. This is a 2017 British Christmas zombie musical film. Zombies threaten the town of Little Haven at Christmas time, and it's up to Anna and her friends to save the day. It is a clever, toe-tapping good time of a film that tries to do a whole lot and mostly succeeds on every front. It is a holiday-themed horror movie, a musical, a touching tale of friendship, a love letter to several horror films, as well as several cult films and musical classics, including West Side Story and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's wildly creative, well-made, and full of catchy tunes and ridiculously fun musical numbers. The characters are likable and well-developed, the comedy is pitch perfect, and the pacing ensures there's never a dull moment. It is honestly the perfect holiday party flick, and I cannot recommend it enough. Jamie, you got another one?
Well, my last one is similar to Holidays. It is an anthology movie. It is the original Tales from the Crypt, and it is the one of the first segments that was in the rebooted Tales from the Crypt, which is like 20 years old itself. I believe it's called He's Coming After You or He's Watching You. It is a terrible woman murders her husband for his money or for whatever reason. And she's home alone that night. And that same night, someone, some criminally insane madman has escaped something, prison, an asylum, and he's dressed like a Santa Claus and he's got an axe. Now, this doesn't sound original, but actually this is. I mean, this was like, I believe, late 60s, early 70s. But it's also actually benefiting from the same thing Inside and P2 did. It's just Joan Collins, that's the lady, the killer, and the Santa man. It's just those two against each other. And there's no real, like, all the suspense comes from, is he going to get her? Is he in the house? And that's very suspenseful. I like that one more than the newer one with Larry Drake. I like that one too. But the one in Tales from the Crypt, the original series, the original anthology, I think is better. So that's my recommendation.
Awesome. For these next few, I am going to give you a 1-sentence recommendation. I've got several of them, but I'm going to do very fast. I'm just going to whip through them. And then I'm going to do my last one, which I want to say just a tiny bit more about. And I think it deserves the biggest recommendation. So my next one is a movie called I Trapped the Devil. It is from 2019. And I will just say there's a lot of paranoia at play here, and the dread is palpable. So recommend that one. A film called Day of the Beast. This is a wicked black comedy, and it is the perfect viewing experience for the bah humbug crowd who cannot stand Christmas. So if that is you, if you are over the Christmas spirit, you need to go watch Day of the Beast. You're going to fucking love it. A new movie from 2021 called The Retaliators is a nasty little revenge horror film. And it's a lot of fun, and it moves really fast, and it's super gory. Violent Night, one of the most recent on my list from 2022, stars David Harbour from Stranger Things fame, in a really clever and funny spin on the Santa Claus trope. Another film that is very action filled and violent and gory and super fun. Again, it's kind of like what I thought Silent Night was going to be, but like it actually is. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's a silly little romp, and it's a really good time. I'm going to close us out with a film that I think you definitely, if you don't say anything else, you definitely need to see this film if you haven't already. It is a film that goes by a few names, most popularly Dial Code Santa Claus. It is also known as Deadly Games. It is a 1989 Christmas horror movie that definitely deserves its status as a cult classic. It was released a year before Home Alone, and it features a very similar plot of a child left home alone at Christmas, forced to face down peril on his own and fight back through ingenuity and resourcefulness, if that sounds familiar. A lot of people, including the director of this film, think that Home Alone ripped off this film. Doesn't matter whether they did or not, but it's going to feel very similar when you watch it. But this is actually like and Home Alone's great, but this is a way better film. In this film, the young actor is being terrorized by a killer Santa, and both the young hero and the menacing attacker are outstanding. It features a twisted script, brilliant art direction, and a ton of fun set pieces. So if you do love Home Alone, which, I mean, who doesn't? But you really do wish that it was more terrifying, brutal, and perfectly packaged for horror fans, then this is your film. So highly, highly recommend Deadly Games, aka Dial Code Santa Claus. Have you seen this one? Are you familiar with this?
No. However, it is on my to buy list from Vinegar Syndrome. Does it kind of have to be? Does it kind of have to be seen at Christmas? Like if I get it like in a month or whatever, could I still?
I mean, you can watch. Nothing has to be seen at Christmas. It's definitely got a. I mean, it's got a very strong Christmas vibe, but I mean, you aren't gonna hate it if you watch it after Christmas.
I have a question. Do you think this is kind of off topic? Do you think that Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
I think it's both.
Me too. Cool. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that was super fun. That was super fun. Do you have any, we definitely went long on this. Do you have any last minute recommendations or anything else that came to mind while I was going through those?
I don't. No, I don't. I'm not a big connoisseur of Christmas horror movies. It's interesting because within the last 5 years, there has been a huge surge of Christmas horror movies. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I've got several on my list that I need to see this year that just came out, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, they just popped up out of nowhere, and they're all good too, or supposedly.
I think that's good because I think we've been a very long time with a pretty big drought. There was not much. I mean, if we would have done this a few years ago, there's like a handful of Christmas horror films where we're like, yeah, these are the staples, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, there's a lot out there, and I think that's super fun.
Eventually, we'll get to do a Thanksgiving show too.
Yeah, it's going to be a while, I think. It's funny. I think that's like all anyone could talk about, like over and over and over again, was Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, and which embarrassingly I have not seen yet. But I do think, I mean, I'm sure it's great, and I love Eli Roth. I'm pro Roth camp. But I do think part of like a big part of why everybody can't stop talking about it is like we're just like, holy fuck, there's an actually good Thanksgiving horror film. Like we've almost never had one that really felt like Thanksgiving. So that's nice. It's nice that that stupid holiday finally gets its due, even though it is a garbage holiday.
Yeah, I agree. It's I haven't seen it yet either, but I do want to. I always sort of wasn't a shit talker about Eli Roth, but I was always like, he's all right. I'm not a fan. But just the other day, I was thinking, well, do you like Cabin Fever? Yeah, I fucking love Cabin Fever. Do you like Hostel? Yeah, I fucking love Hostel. Do you love Hostel 2? Yeah, I fucking love Hostel 2. I fucking love Green Inferno. Jamie, I think you're an Eli Roth fan. So that was funny.
Yeah, I think he's really good. And I never I was always into what people derogatorily refer to as torture porn. Like I loved that era. So
that needs a better term. That needs a better term.
It does. I mean, that's why I called it derogatory. I mean, it's not. I don't think that's the right term, but it doesn't. That term also doesn't offend me. I'm like, if somebody's like it's torture porn, I'm not insulted by it. I'm like, yeah, torture porn. That sounds great. I don't know what the problem is. I think that sounds awesome.
It's funny, kids. That's usually like movies that are called torture porn. Like out of say a 90-minute long running time, there's maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of torture in most of them. But yeah, I hate that. I hate that too.
I mean, I've watched some real like legit torture porn films where it is like the full movie of nothing but people being tortured. And those are, I mean, I'll watch them because I feel like I have to, but those are hard to stomach. Those are rough stuff. It's this weird macabre curiosity where I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this, but I feel like I have to watch it. Like I just have to prove to myself that I can watch it and get through it.
Yeah.
And then feel icky afterwards.
I've watched a few of those. Super extreme horror is, I like it. I don't, a lot of people watch it constantly, like over and over. Like I don't watch nothing but extreme horror, but what I do watch, I really genuinely adore.
Back in my younger days, it's like being a daredevil. Like you do that when you're young. Like I was very into it. And again, I think it was more just about challenging myself and just proving, because I liked the idea that I could watch the shit that people are like, this is unwatchable, or like only a handful of people could watch this. And like the more it like fucks people up, the more I was like, well, that's for me. And I used to watch a lot of it. But now that I'm a super old lady, I'll still watch it from time to time, but I don't really seek it out. Like I don't get as excited about it. I'm more like an art house girl these days than I am a extreme horror girl, but I still appreciate it. And I'm never gonna like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm never going to malign it, and say that it has no artistic value or that it's garbage. Just like it feels like it takes a toll after a while and you need to sort of like cleanse your system.
I don't know. The way I look at it is hurt me. That's what I see it. If I read about, this new movie, people threw up and people ran away and passed out, I say, hurt me. I want to see it. Out of all the extreme horror, this is weird, all the extreme horror movies, terrible, disgusting shit that I've witnessed. The movie that made me the most upset was Halloween Rob Zombie remake. I had seen it before, but maybe it was a bad night, but I had a terrible nervous breakdown. I almost threw up, and it was because of the movie. The movie just really tweaked me the wrong way. But that's the only time a movie ever bothered me. That's strange. But yeah, I like extreme horror. If it's good. The animal cruelty thing does bother me. Like the guy who made the Agony of the Angel or whatever that's called. I forget his name. He makes a lot of really extreme horror movies, but there's animal abuse in them. And I'm just not into that. I know my tough guy badge is being taken off me, but I'm just not down with that. I don't like to watch it. I mean, I wouldn't now if there was no animal killing in Cannibal Holocaust. I recommend that like crazy.
Well, you can watch the no animal cruelty cut and experience that film.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, there is a no cruelty cut, and I would actually recommend that because it's a good movie.
I really love that film. Actually, I think it's actually quite good. And my God, that score is stunning.
I know.
Such a good score. And it's so like weird because it's so haunting and melodic for a film that is like notorious for being really like extreme and brutal and, viscerally disturbing.
The first time I saw it, that actually elicited a chuckle out of me when the movie started and that music came on. And because it's startling in the beginning because you're just like, what? It's like pretty. It's like nice. It's happy. But yeah, it's a scary score though, because when there's violence, there's all those like all those like sound effects, and Italian scores are scary.
Yeah, I do love them. Okay, well, that I think is a wrap, which is a really great way to phrase our Christmas episode.
Ha.
Until next time, this has been the Untold Horrors crew, and we are signing off.